Hey, what's up? So the video you're about to see is an interview I had with one of our students, Kane. So Kane is a clothing brand owner. He actually has a very successful clothing brand doing around about $50,000 per month. He was doing that before he came to us. Now, he came to us and he wanted to ask and he wanted to see how we could help him to take that expertise he already had and build a coaching program around it. He had already achieved what he wanted to with the clothing brand, but he was now looking for a new avenue, something, a new challenge, a new way to, excite him and to challenge him in his business. And so he had an Instagram account for his clothing brand page, but he didn't have a personal brand. And he didn't have a coaching offer, and he had no idea how to do it. And so what we helped him to do was we helped him to build out a high ticket, coaching brand, clothing brand coaching offer. And we helped him to then build his personal brand, to start, posting content consistently. And we taught him our system. We have a system we teach for content strategy, which we call the synthesize method. Basically, it's a system that allows you to generate content that's going to grow your audience and grow your business at the same time. And there's a secret as to how that works. And so what happened with him was after launching that, when he had 22 followers, he landed his first ever high ticket client for his coaching business. Very shortly after that, he landed his next client, then his next client. And it's within the first 30 days of launching his page and launching his coaching business, he made $10,000. And so, that was the impact we was able to make, helping to achieve, all by implementing a very unique content strategy that we teach inside of our program. He's now gone on to be able to do that again and again, and being able to have success consecutively. He's had so much success and he's got so much knowledge to give. We've actually recently brought him on board as one of our own coaches inside our program because of the wealth of experience and expertise he has. He's now working alongside one of our other client success coaches to help our clients in our program to get better results, and to help to get the results for our, clients in our program. So he's amazing, achieved really great things. And so without any further ado, we'll get into the interview and we'll see how Kane's experience has been inside HVC, which is our coaching program.
I am Kane. I'm from New Zealand, so I'm based in Austria at the moment. And a couple of years ago, I started a clothing brand. In the last 6 months, I've actually had a lot of people reaching out to me for help through my clothing brand's Instagram page. And this is when I contacted Harry about helping me set up a coaching business where I could sort of monetize the help that I was providing to a lot of these clothing brands. So now I am officially a clothing brand coach, and I've currently a few clients, and it's going well.
Yeah. And like you said to me, clothing brand coaches, there's not that many. So you're one of the very few that are out there, or at least a few that are actually good at actually running a clothing brand. Which is good. It gives that a bit of an advantage there to a certain degree. You're kind of first to market in a sense with it. Very excited for you. And obviously you've done a lot already so far of it. So with then your coaching business, the way you set it up, just give people a bit of context. You have your clothing brand page that has a decent audience on there. We also started a new Instagram page. How has it worked with like the two pages in terms of like where you're selling, where you're marketing, creating content? Just kind of give people a bit of an idea as to how you're managing that, what your, I guess, general strategy is across the two pages.
Yeah, so initially we went onto the clothing brand page and just put out a couple of stories to see if there was already a warm audience within my following. The people that know me, I'm quite present within the clothing brand page, so people know my face and know me by name. And we were able to get the ball rolling already with initial, I believe, 3 clients from just doing that. Yeah. And then so we sort of moved it over, started a separate Instagram page from scratch. And we've essentially moved forward with just building out a fresh sort of community within that page, where now I believe I've just only bumped over the 500 following mark, but I'm constantly getting interest in new clients coming just from that page to date.
Yes, amazing, cool. That's good. And so with then the new Instagram page, again, obviously you've made a few changes from when you started it, obviously up to now. You have made some slight adjustments to the content, to the strategy. Is there anything in particular you've done on that page that you think a change, or again, a strategy you've used that you felt has worked really well for you when it comes to attracting the leads and clients? Because again, you're right, 500 followers, it's not like a massive volume, but they're high quality and they are becoming leads. So is there anything you can point to say like, that's what I'm doing that's allowing that to happen?
Yeah, good question. So I think it's a mixture of building a little bit of authority within the community on there, and just being, I'm developing a sort of a system where I'm being quite transparent with the numbers that I'm seeing on a monthly basis, weekly basis within my own sales. I think showing those sort of results and just screenshots from the Shopify does instill a lot of like authority within the community. So it really helps. Also, just jumping on front of the camera and talking to the audience, showing them who you are, being real transparent and transparent and vulnerable within the stories, really helps people get to know who you are. So yeah,
100%. And with then your main business, with the clothing brand itself, I guess what advice would you have for someone, let's say, who is yourself? Obviously, this is what you teach, but someone who is you, say from a year, 2 years ago, you've had a lot of success with that page through Instagram, right? Through building a brand on there. And I guess that also ties into the success you're having on the new personal brand page. So for those two types of audiences, someone who wants to do a coaching offer and someone who has a clothing brand, again, is there any piece of like advice you would have for someone to help them have success on Instagram with either of those two kind of businesses?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I definitely have some advice for that. I think a lot of people get into a situation and this mindset of just not having any patience at all. It's just believing in the process. Like, for example, I found you provided me with that process, and I sort of the way that my mind works is I sort of place like internally, visually, like stepping stones, so to speak. That's a real good strategy. It works for me. Once I get to that stepping stone, I completely can cross it off the list. Then I move forward to the next one. I think with a lot of people, they get overwhelmed with the situation and all the different sort of information, and just throw it all together, and hopefully that they'll see results way too quickly than what they should be. But I guess to summarize in a nutshell, I think the best sort of advice that I can give is just having patience, having some sort of organization in your strategy concepts, and like I said, incremental steps forward, just one step at a time, 1 foot in front of the other approach. And that's, I believe 9 times out of 10, that is a key to success, combined with improvement. An awareness factor needs to be, it's a key factor within this. So if that's a key component. If that's not included in this equation, no, you're not going to see success. So a little bit, it's a key ingredient: organization, persistency, and improvement. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to get to your end sort of destination. Yeah.
100%. And I agree with that. The last point, you nailed it with the improvement aspects, because that's where a lot of people, I think, not struggle, but I think they're a bit blindsided by that idea of the daily improvement or weekly or month, whatever it's going to be. But it's not just simply a case of having a system of following it step by step. Yes, that's going to get you somewhere. It's going to get you to a certain goal. But to get to that ultimate outcome, you ultimately have to then adapt and refine and improve whatever that system is you're following, with feedback and accountability from whatever system it is. And I think that's such a key component that many people do miss out. I think they can just be consistent and that's it. You have to be consistent, but consistent in improving yourself daily. And that is what's going to get a result. So that's a really good point, actually. Really good point. And so I guess that might be then potentially, one of the reasons why you've had success in this program is the consistency, is the ability to keep improving. Aside from that, is there any other reasons that you can point to for yourself in our program that you think have allowed you to have success, whether that's like a personal trait, whether it's a mindset thing, a skill strategy? Is there anything you can point to?
Yeah, definitely. I can elaborate a little bit further on a couple of probably key factors for myself. So I think I have a real good ability. And this is just noticing, going through this entrepreneurial journey. I've actually got quite a good ability to not allow overwhelm to set in. I mean, to date, since I launched like my first business, the clothing brand, back in 2020, I was almost preparing for the worst. Like, I was hearing these horror stories of, I'd be reading, I think it was Phil Knight has a book, the owner of Nike Dog Shoe, and he was going on about the situation of like locking himself in the room, just experiencing this mass overwhelm and just becoming obese and just not seeing the light of day for a couple of weeks. And so I just expected at some stage this would happen to me. I think even you mentioned it early on in the program that maybe 8 times or 7 times out of 10 for different people, you're going to experience some really tough times. And I'm always waiting for that, like, to appear from somewhere, and it just never comes. I think I have a really good sort of sense of knowing when to stop pushing the limit and just to take a step back and have a breath. Like, there are literally days where I'm like, I've just been grinding, 12, 14-hour days for the last 5 days.
Yeah.
Today, I'm just going to have a day off. I'm just going to watch movies on the couch on my laptop. I'm not even going to think about any of the businesses because they will still be there tomorrow. Believe it or not, they will still exist tomorrow. It'll be okay. Yeah. It's just, I think there's a lot of people that don't have that like ability to switch off. So that's definitely been a key factor. And just, I think that's just off the top of my head one of the big things probably. Yeah. And again, it kind of points back to that self-awareness factor you mentioned. Being aware of yourself, being aware of, I guess, what you're good at, what you're bad at, what needs to improve, what needs to be more consistent, and knowing when is the right time to have a break. And kind of like you said, it's not a case of you're having a break every day or you're having a break, every week. Like, it might be fairly regular, but it's not done just for the sake of having a break. You're having a break at the right moment when you need it to be able to reset, recharge your mind, your body, to then be able to push again. A lot of people ignore those signs, and then they get into burnout again, to overwhelm, other things, which then causes a massive build up, and then they just break essentially. Then they just can't continue. Really, really good point. And off the back of that, then you mentioned obviously being able to, lay down, sit on your sofa, watch films all day, not worry about the business. In that sense, then, with obviously our program and setting up your coaching program, has there been any form of byproduct or any sort of like knock-on impact to your personal life, in like a positive way? Has it helped in any areas there at all? From the program, from my time in the program so far, I think one thing off the top of my head that I really enjoy about the program is the weekly group meetings that we have, so Tuesday and Thursday. So I make the most effort. Even, for example, at the moment, like this evening, I'm going to sit in on it. Yes, I'm away in another country at an Airbnb, but it's about showing up. And I think that is a real important key factor that is a part of the program that people need to sort of try and adhere to, because it's going to, subconsciously instill some sort of this routine and habit of showing up and being consistent. Once again, going back to that, if you can't even find yourself showing up for 2 calls a week, then you've got to look in the mirror and ask yourself a question of like, do you have the discipline to sort of carry out this entrepreneurial journey? Because you need to have that consistency and that commitment to follow through with things. Otherwise, you're gonna really struggle in other areas of it. So I really enjoyed that part, that it's really brought on that habit of just sticking to that consistency of those calls.
100%. I'm actually just making a note of that because I'm going to probably say that on tonight's call. I won't drop you in it, but I'm going to mention that. It's a really good point. About actually showing up to like I said, if you can't show up to 2 calls, how can you expect to then be able to show up for your entire business journey? Because showing up to 2 calls, if you want to, like you said, you're away at the moment, you can just have your laptop out, sit on the couch, have some dinner, listen in. It's not really, it's not like you're not really having to do too much, but it's that subconscious ability to then be able to commit to something and make sure you show up regardless of where you're at. That's what then, bleeds over into your business, and being able to show up and be consistent. And that is ultimately what the ingredients of success are. You can have the right strategy, you can have the right content, the right ideas, the best ideas, whatever it might be. But if you're not consistent, if you don't show up when you need to, if you don't show up when times are tough, if you don't try and build that momentum when there is no momentum, you ain't got a chance. There's no point. So another really good point. So final question then, as I look at my notes here on the side, final question for me then, is when you invest in yourself or when you invest into this program, which was, I don't know, I think about 4 months ago now, I can't remember the exact time.
Yeah.
About 4 months ago, you invested into this program. What was it at that time that made you say that now is a time that I need to invest in myself? So not anything to do with us, just more like an internal reason. What was your reason for wanting to invest in yourself at that time, about 4 months ago?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I was at a stage with the clothing brand where I was finding, as I was sort of building out more of a supportive system for the clothing brand, it was in turn freeing up more time for myself. And I didn't really want to just cap my potential with going, all right, I started a clothing brand and that's my sort of entrepreneurial journey, so to speak. I'm not like, in a sense, I'm not into the greedy aspect of it. I just really enjoy the problem solving aspect, the journey of piecing those sort of puzzle pieces together to figure out that formula to move forward. And so I did feel, I started to feel super comfortable with the clothing brand. It was at a super good stage.
Yeah.
And it was being supported by, like I said, I'd outsourced a lot of it to a point where it's freeing up some time. And things just sort of fall in line, I think, so to speak. A lot of big entrepreneurs and ourselves sort of always comment on about, the path sort of essentially illuminates itself. I think Alex Hormozi stated in his book I was reading the other day, it does happen. And I think, those little pieces started to formulate in front of me of a lot of people reaching out for some advice. I was providing the advice. They were super happy with the feedback and the advice they're getting. And I think, I must credit my partner, Liz. She was on my case about like, you need to charge for this help that you're giving, because I was naturally sitting on my phone, like spending all this time messaging these up and coming brands back. And she's like, you could literally make a course or you could coach them. Like, you should really figure this out. And so I did start looking into it. And that's when, I come across you, ironically enough, on YouTube. Yeah.
And just to confirm the numbers at the moment. So in terms of numbers, how many? I think I know, but I don't want to say. But how many clients? How much like income revenue have you made from it so far, roughly?
So I've signed to date 10 clients at 2,000, so 20,000 euros in overall sales, overall revenue from the coaching. So. Nice. 3 of them, like I said, initially come from the clothing brand, and the other 7 have to date just come via my Instagram coaching page. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's unreal.
Yeah.
And I think what's good as well is that you obviously had a break for a while because you went back to New Zealand. You went to see family and stuff. So you had quite a big break where you wasn't doing anything. So you've been in the program 4 months. About 1 month of that, you've not really done anything because you was away. And so it's like you've really only scratched the surface of what's possible. And I think that's what's so cool about it, is there is so much more potential to grow it, to scale it, especially being one of the only people in your space that we know of anyway who does this type of offer. So there's tons of potential, which is amazing. But yeah, cool. Anyway, mate, well, look, I don't want to take any more of your time. As I said, do very much appreciate it. Just so everyone knows then, before we jump off, best place to find you in terms of like Instagram, TikTok, wherever it is, where's the best place if people want to reach out? Where can they reach out?
I am just predominantly mainly focusing on Instagram. So Create with Kane is my handle for Instagram. So feel free to reach out to me on there. Yeah.
Nice. Cool. I'll put it down below in the description for everyone. And thanks again, Kane. Appreciate your time. Best of luck